dive into the quad Cortex. I brought my buddy Ray over, who is an amazing guitar player. We're just going to let him go crazy with the quad Cortex and see what he can find, create. We're going to put all the patches he creates up, so if you like the sounds that you hear, all the links and the details will be in the description below. But we're going to go deep. So you're either going to like this video or you're not, because it's really hard to divide up how this is going to be. So if you're really curious about the quad Cortex, this video is going to be for you. If you're not really interested into like taking a deeper dive into it, it's probably going to be a really long and boring video. So it's a long video. Strap in and sit down, grab a drink, and take a listen to Ray's awesome playing as we dive into the quad Cortex for medium gain tones. And any feedback is welcome. Leave some comments down below. We're going to continue to post videos like this as well as other recording content. So stay tuned. And thanks so much for checking out the video. Thanks again to Ray for coming out and spending a super early morning with me diving into this and making this video for you guys. So I hope you enjoy. And here we go. So yeah, last video we wanted to see, I'm a heavy metal player, obviously, but we wanted to see if the quad Cortex could do like, something a little more delicate. How real would it, really capture something? So I brought my buddy Ray on, who is the guy I ask questions when I have questions about guitar stuff. It's going to be easier to say what you haven't had than the gear that you have. And I know I've said that a few times, but it's the truth. You have a ton of guitar experience, man, and you can play like a freaking champion. So I really wanted to get you over here to see what you thought. I think you're a little more particular about the tones that you really want. So we are going to capture his amp and see what you think. And what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, just to run down the signal chain real quick, we've got the Bogner Atma 18-watt cathode bias EL84 amplifier. It's essentially got a that EL84 power section, but with a Marshall front end. It's in the 60s mode right now. It's in the solo mode, so it's the highest gain of the 3 modes. And the 60s mode is pretty much just like a Plexi, so 74X kind of vibe. Gain is mostly pulled up. We've got the bass and treble pushed up a little bit, with the mids pulled down just a bit, particularly because of these speakers. And then we got the volume cooking pretty good in this space. Full 18 watts on the back end with the tube rectifier activated. So that's running into a PRS 212 semi-open back cabinet that is loaded with the Celestion Alnico Rubies.
That you just put in there.
I just put them in there about a month and a half ago. What
do you like about those speakers?
They've just got a wonderful mid-range character, and I love the way that Alnicos feel.
Yeah.
The ceramic is to solid state as Alnico is to tubes.
Yeah.
And it's just this touch sensitivity and this dynamic sort of vibe that just happens with Alnicos in the feel. So.
Right, and actually we didn't use the 2 notes. This we tried it at first, we didn't know how loud we were going to need to be, but this is not actually part of the signal chain that was captured in the capture.
Yes,
but it's just up here because it looks cool, I guess.
Yeah, no, it looks cool. It definitely completes the vibe. Yeah, so we ended up capturing that. And we also ended up going ahead and diving in with me creating a couple of my first patches. Yeah. So I've never really dived much into the quad Cortex at all. Right. This is really my first experience with it. So you guys are going to see that. This is going to be almost a UI, like a basic UI demo,
right,
as much as it is just going to be sort of a tone demo. And really my big... the big point of coming here today was to see how does the quad Cortex handle those low to mid gain tones. Right. How does it handle some of that more touch sensitive kind of vibe?
A little more soulful stuff.
Sure.
Yeah. Because would you call yourself? I mean, you've been playing a lot of fusion lately.
Yeah, a lot of fusion, and then but I have a background. I also have a background in metal, so that's something we connect on, and rock and blues, and I guess there's some different.
You're a really versatile guitar player.
Well,
you go from like super heavy metal stuff to like crazy awesome blues to
Sure.
Really awesome jazz chords, which you'll hear a little bit with the DI that we took.
Yes.
So back to the signal chain, we wanted to remove all variables, so we took a DI recording of your Fender.
Yes, that was going to be my 1984 Fender American Standard Stratocaster.
Nice.
That's loaded with, it's got lace sensors in the middle and the neck, and then it's got a hot stack in the bridge.
Right on. So we took a direct DI of it, and that's what we fed separately to the amp and then to the quad Cortex. We moved absolutely nothing. The amp and the mics that we recorded is the same way. Nothing was changed. It's the same process or the same setup that we did for the Cortex. So
literally, it is apples to absolute apples. It's the same guitar take. The same mic placement that was used to capture is the same thing that we used to record. Nothing changed, except for one thing.
Right.
And I feel like people are probably going to beat us up about this. Maybe a little bit. Some purists out there are going to be really upset.
A little bit, yeah.
I think the difference is the quad Cortex input and the amp input was just different enough that we had to pull the gain or the signal level of the DI down a touch for the amp.
Yes.
But if you listen to the A and B, it's so close.
It's so close.
But there is still a difference. I think the difference that happened, is because of that little bit of gain difference.
I think so, very much so. And even with that small variable thrown into the mix,
right?
I find that the quad Cortex has just done an incredible job of
it sounds so good.
This.
Yeah,
it didn't just capture the basic tone. It didn't just capture the sound. It also captured a lot of the feel and the dynamics and the touch sensitivity, and that's incredible.
When you dig in the recording we did, you can hear that blooming harmonic content, but then when you start doing those legato lines, you can just really hear the clarity of the guitar, the slapping of the strings up against the frets, and just you hear that that clarity, that chime that just like pops right out. It's awesome, man.
It's so live.
So obviously this amp rocks.
Yes,
it's amazing.
Great amp.
The
Love it.
Cortex does an awesome job of capturing. What how much, like, percentage wise, do you think? How much did it capture?
98-99%. Right.
Okay.
We're getting to the point where it's so granular.
Yeah.
I mean, how much are you really going to tell, especially in a mix?
Right. Yeah, you'll probably hear a difference, but what's the point of that in a mix?
Exactly.
It doesn't count. It doesn't matter at this point. It really doesn't. And I think the argument, I think most people could just shut up and start playing music.
Yeah.
And I think, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the thing
agree.
that you experience when you're setting up.
Yes.
You typically like to go further into other things, but it's so usable so fast.
This was so quick. I mean, you guys will see, but I put together an AC30 patch.
From scratch.
And I did nothing to it. And I think one of my comments was I would record with this.
Yeah.
And I barely did any. I didn't even touch tone controls. I didn't even touch treble and bass.
That's how it would be in a real amp, you know? Like, that's the beauty.
You plug in and you get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's why a lot of people don't like modelers, is because it hasn't been that way.
Right.
And I think the quad Cortex brings the best of both worlds. The fact that you can rotate these knobs and stuff like that, it gives you the immediacy of like an amp setup.
Yes.
But the benefits of a modeler. And then now you can capture things. So, I mean, if you're really particular about what you have, I mean, would you gig with that?
I would absolutely gig with that.
Yeah.
I mean, because no audience member is going to tell the difference.
No one's they're not going to.
There's no one who's going to actually sit there and be in the back of the audience and raise a cardboard that says, quad Cortex sucks. You know, it's like no one's going to hear a difference.
Where's your amp, plebe?
Seriously, like, no one's going to hear that. And frankly, I believe that there's room for both in everyone's setup.
Right.
You know, from a creative standpoint and just from an inspiration standpoint, real amps are so fun to play.
They are.
That amp in the room experience is unique.
And that's one thing we've talked about before. I don't think a lot of people understand the difference of what they're hearing when they hear an amp in the room versus a modeler.
Yeah.
And that is...
Yeah, that is that amp in the room experience, because through a modeler, it's you know, the experience is more like the amp's cranked in another room, control, you know, and you're in the control room monitoring through some speakers.
Right.
And there's a disconnect.
There is.
And of course, I think the quad Cortex has a little bit of that involved too, because that's how it does it. That's how it does it, right?
Yeah.
How does it model? It does it just that way.
It's how an amp sounds through a microphone, which is another barrier between you and an amp in a room. Like, you're never listening to your amp in the room through a microphone.
Exactly.
But you are with a modeler. But you can see with the recording, if you're making music or if you're trying to get live, that difference is so small.
So small.
That I think most people can just get on with making music.
Exactly.
So you want to dive in? You want to check out? Let's do the video.
Let's
go a little further. Anything else you want to mention?
No, man. I think we've covered it, because this thing's absolutely incredible. For me, out of all the units I've used, I've had the Kemper, I've had the Axe FX, I've had multiple of the Axe FXs. I've gone down the Helix route, and as great as all those are, I've got to give them props. They do an amazing job.
Right, yeah.
All of those are amazing in their own way.
The technology is growing.
The quad has just taken it a leap forward.
It has,
and it's incredible.
It is, man.
It's incredible. It really is.
Dude, thanks so much for coming out and doing all this with me, because I know it's a lot of work. We actually started at like 8 o'clock, and it's 11 right now. So this is it. We're going to jump into it, and hope you guys like the video. We're going to put this up on the cloud, so if you want to play Ray's amp and you've got a quad Cortex, it's all yours. If you have questions, let us know. And thanks again, Ray, for coming out.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
Ray's dialing in a tone that we're going to capture, so he's in the closet. I'm not going to show you what's in my closet because, I don't know, it just doesn't feel professional. We're going to finish dialing in a tone. And then we're going to capture that.
Okay, so we're going to create new.
Yeah.
We're going to start off. Let's go ahead and throw an amp on there. Let's do... God, part of me just wants to rock. Let's throw on a...
Oh, probably copyright infringement if I continue.
Do not do that. I'll come for you. Let's do... Let's see here. So we got a few different amps in here, don't they? Here we go. Let's do the UK C30 top boost. That's going to be the AC30. Let's throw a cab on there. Hi, Arnold.
Got a visitor.
I've got a visitor. Let's throw a cab on there. Guitar cab. Let's do the matching 212 for that. So we got amp and a cab. Let's just... Okay, that's a great sound right from the get, and we're not actually even diving into the parameters or anything. Right. I mean, right from the start, we've got a great sound, very usable sound. I mean, that's something I could easily record with and actually be quite happy with, just to start with. So let's look at what we got. Oh, we've got the hot and the cool, which is sort of like the hand-wired AC30s.
Like, can we hear a sound difference?
Yeah. That's great. So essentially, it almost sounds sort of like a bad cat, hot cat or something. Like you've got that hot rodded AC high gain kind of sound. That's awesome. So we've got some flexibility here already. Let's go ahead and do a couple things. We got our tone cut. Let's turn that up a little bit. Let's turn our treble up a bit.
And you get a chance to tell us about the guitar you're playing as well.
Absolutely, yeah. This is a 1984 American Standard Stratocaster. It's got lace sensor. What is this? A silver, a blue, in the neck and the middle, respectively. And then we've got an old vintage hot stack, Duncan hot stack, in the bridge. Regular 5-way and tone controls. So let's take a quick look here and see what we want to do because, one of the beautiful things about this is we can just turn knobs. Right off the cuff, man. I'm actually like really impressed with that, and you really don't have to do much.
Yeah, like what else are you digging for at that point? Like,
yeah,
that sounds awesome.
So, and you mentioned this previously, and how this was so different from some of the other modelers you used, in the sense that you could just dive in and get great sounds without having to
spend so much time
doing it. Dialing forever. So, I'm down for an M160, and yeah, I'm down for a 57. That's always a good combination. Let's just mess around with these. Ah, check that out. Oh wow, check that out. So you can actually adjust multiple parameters with this here. Distance.
Yeah, look, you can turn this off. So now I can hear just
Wow, check that out. I mean, just you moving that around, there's a lot of sounds you can get right from this alone. And really, any sort of texture you want to capture, you can do just as if you were in the studio, right? Like, I want a different texture out of the amp. Sure, you can mess around with the amp, but there's limitations with that. When it comes to being in a studio environment, how you mic it is critical.
Yeah.
And this actually responds in the way I would expect it to.
It's got that attitude that
does.
Can attack.
It does. It absolutely does. I think that's fantastic. I mean, frankly, I'm happy with the way that sounds. I'm very happy with the way that sounds. So let's throw in some like some reverb, right? Maybe. Let's do some. I think you mentioned the rooms are really nice, right? Mm-hmm. What's one of your favorite room settings? Anything that you like to dial in, or? I mean, we're already in a nice place. Maybe just throw the decay down a little less mix, as I don't like too. That's right. I always forget that. You know what it is? But what's surprising is the touchscreen is so responsive on this.
It's really responsive.
It's a very responsive touchscreen. So it's wonderful to be able to do this, but it actually feels wonderful just to touch it as well. Sound. I mean, that sounds like a great amp in a great room.
Do you want to continue building that patch, or maybe think about another one?
Let's
do you want to build one more?
Yeah, let's save this one. Let's go ahead and save this one. So we're gonna go ahead and, well, I think this is it right here, right?
There you go.
Save. We're gonna name it Raise First Patch. How cute. Yep. Tags. What's that for?
Clean.
Yeah.
Dirty.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a dirty. Let's put AC30 because that's what it is. Boom. Done. Raise first patch. Look how easy that is. Let's create a new one. Let's do something a little bit different. Let's see how this Strat sounds with some real drive behind it.
While you're setting this one up, can you talk a little bit about like what some of the things because you're like one of the big, like the biggest guitar people I know. Like, what's something that a real amp does on the edge of breakup kind of clean thing?
Yes.
That a modeler usually struggles with.
Yes, absolutely. So let's go ahead and do the vibrato channel of a deluxe reverb. Let's go ahead and get a good cab going for that. SC64, I'm down for that. Absolutely. So we got a deluxe here. One of the things that I find that most modelers have trouble with is it's really in the main difference at this point in my eyes between modelers and real amps is just in feel. It's in feel and the way the virtual amplifier responds in relation to the real one. So let's go ahead and get this guy right about where. That's pretty much doing it. Yeah. That's pretty much doing it, because when you get a deluxe right between like 5 and 7, which is normally incredibly loud, unusably loud, but when you get a deluxe to that point, there's this sort of give and take, right? Mm-hmm. where the amp it's pretty much really clean. That's perfectly clean. It's got that, you just dig in and it gives it to you.
Yeah.
It just gives it to you. And obviously as you just crank it, it does more and more. But that's doing it. That's doing the touch sensitive thing that I'd want a deluxe to do. Right between 5 and 7. That's
do you
beautiful.
feel it's got the touch dynamics that you're looking for?
Very much so. Absolutely. That's actually very impressive. Because I always felt like there was a little bit of inherent compression in most every modeler that I've used in the past. I won't name them, but exactly what we've talked about. We've dived into that, and frankly, this doesn't have that challenge. So I think this sounds fantastic.
Yeah. So it gents and it jazzes.
Oh yeah, all day, all day.
Right on.
Yeah, I think this is fantastic. Let's save this. Yeah, and then it's so easy to save.
Maybe we could start a new thing. Does it fusion?
Does it fusion? Maybe I should get my AZ and we can find out.
Well, let me.
My AZ's right there.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's go ahead and make this happen.
Lone Star.
Ah, which one is that?
California Star.
Gotcha. California 1 star, right? Mm-hmm. There you go. That's going to get us there. 50 watt. Let's do 50 watt tweed. Let's do a good 212. Let's go ahead and dial this guy. I'm just going to need a little bit more gain, a little less bass. Pull the mids back a little. Bit more treble. EQ. Oh wow! So this is cool. This is cool. One thing the Lone Star has on its second channel is there's a normal, thick, and a thicker mode, and it just controls kind of how pronounced the low mid range is. Mm. They've actually modeled that in here. Let's see. Model actually the gain and drive controls, and we can kind of touch on that, but essentially in the Lone Star you have gain and drive. Your gain is like essentially your first gain stage. Your drive is almost more of like, it almost acts as like almost a transparent kind of overdrive, so you set your tone to a certain extent with the gain knob. Higher is fatter, lower is a little bit brighter and more open. And then you can compensate with your drive knob, allowing you to get the amount of actual saturation you want without affecting the gain as much. Huh. And Mesa. Then Mesa, leave it to Mesa. So that's cool. And then you got the normal. You got the... That's pretty fat. And then, of course, the thicker. Yeah,
That's awesome.
that's a great sound. That's a great sound. I generally like the thick mode. Let's go ahead and dive into our guitar cab. And let's maybe try something a little bit different. How do the Legends? That's a nice sound right there. I'm gonna go cream. I like the creamback, the Zilla with creamback, the Zilla creamback. I mean, and once again, not to kind of harp on the same things, but I'm able to dial like 212 Zilla cab with creamback.
Yeah.
It sounds like what I very much imagine a 212 Zilla cab with creambacks would sound like. Throw a little room reverb in there, so actually, you know what? Spring would be nice here. Let's do spring. Yeah, let's do spring. Yeah, that's a great fusion.
Now you gotta save it as a Ray's Fusion lead.
Ray's Fusion lead. That's it right there.
I guess we could do like a. We'll put all these up, and if anybody wants them, then you can have them.
Dude, thanks so much for coming out and doing all this with me, because I know it's a lot of work. We actually started at like 8 o'clock, and it's 11 right now. We're going to put this up on the cloud, so if you want to play Ray's amp and you've got a quad Cortex, it's all yours. If you have questions, let us know, and thanks again, Ray, for coming out.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.